climb my way up to here, that's good enough for me, so, and again, I'm never going to make $1 billion doing this. So it'd be nice if I could, but
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Like
but
if
financially, it's like, and that's the other thing is I would tell people, like, you got to have a plan. And you really need to think about this because, like I said, it's a very costly sport. Going to the gym is the least expensive thing that you can do, right? But now you got to factor in even just the food that you have to eat. And that if you're going to be competitive, definitely finding a coach, and working with a coach who's knowledgeable and who's like, I'm very blessed because my coach is in person. So, we do, he lives in the same town as me. So like we do check-ins together and he's not online with me. So like he can see me and I can see him, and it's a great relationship that we have. But, and he knows me and listens to me, and, if you just did everything that your coach told you to do, that's not good either. You know what I mean? Like you have to find a coach that really personally can work with you, that you feel comfortable with, like talking to. It's a relationship that you have to have, that's going to be present for you. That's not pushing drugs, you know. That shouldn't be the first conversation that you have with your coach is like, well, what are you going to put me on? It's just, I mean, we didn't even talk about shows for a long time, him and I. We just worked together and just trained. I just did training, and we thought, we kind of looked at a couple of different shows, but they were like, a year away. And that was the other thing. I had a coach prior to that, and, she was talking about doing 6 shows in a year. And I'm like, you can't do that. Ron is like, we pick one show and that's what we do, and that's what I've done with him is like, we've trained for one show only, and I just give it my all. So, but you have to, you got to find the right person that like, you really feel like you could connect with. Like I had a posing coach and she was prepping, and it was a really bad experience that I had, and I wouldn't go and I wouldn't do that again. So you got to find somebody that you feel like that you can just talk. I mean, remember, you're paying them too. So, people have asked me to prep them and whatever. And I've given some advice. I really kind of stay away from the prep thing while I'm prepping, because if you're prepping, you can't really prep somebody else at the same time. I do programming for people. I do nutritional plans for people, but I wouldn't actively prep them for a show, especially if it was like one of their first shows. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. You want your first show to be like a really awesome experience, and you want your coach to be there and to be all in. And if I can't be all in, then I can't do that, So, it's just maybe at some point I'd consider doing, prepping, but that it's a whole other thing too. Like for me to work with somebody, you have to be serious. You have to be ready to do this, and you financially have to be ready to do this too. And if you're not ready to do it, it doesn't mean that you can't train. And I tell people all the time, like, yeah, reach out to me all the time. I'm happy to like help you with like an exercise or give you some advice or give you a whatever. I don't ask for money for that. You know what I mean? I'm always happy to help people, but to actively commit and do it, you have to be ready. I mean, unfortunately, I've known people who've, like lost homes and stuff, and like, it's just like, they were taking their rent money and paying their coach and buying drugs, and I'm like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, this is like, they quit their jobs, and I'm like, for bodybuilding, I'm like, this is, you need to keep your day job, you need to have something in your back pocket. This is more of a hobby than it is a career, and again, if you're in that 1% category, good for you. Maybe you'll get on that Olympia stage and be blessed and get contracts, but it doesn't happen. Just how many people do you know that have supplement contracts, right? And that are making a lot of money off of this sport. Come over here, you. Sit down. So.
Yeah, it's not a lucrative sport, as you know. I mean, like a lot of times when I talk about bodybuilding to people, they really it's foreign to them, you know. And you know, I've told people that I've went to shows like regular people, but you know, it's not like, you know, basketball or football. Majority of the
Right.
times, people talking about that. So yeah, I mean, when I do see like regular people in bodybuilding shows, it's either they know somebody, or you know, like a relative or a friend or something like
Right.
that. It's or
They're there to support that the athlete. And I,
yeah,
like for me, I tell my family, they really don't come to shows. And like my mother
yeah,
has never been to a show. And I get it, you know what I mean? My daughter came to one show, you know what I mean? I don't, that's fine. And like, even like I've had, friends or clients that are like, we want to come and support you. And I was like, I love you guys for that. But like, let me tell you how this works. I'm like, you're going to have to pay for an admission ticket. And I said, then you're going to have to sit there through 20 million men posing before you see me. So what I would tell
yeah,
people to do is, because the way that the NPC does it, they refuse to let the women bodybuilding and physique go first, because on a regional level, there's so many few. There's like a handful of us, if that compete. Let us just do our crap, and then you can do whatever afterwards. But
yeah,
so like to sit through all that stuff, I mean, it's a lot, you know what I mean? So what I would tell people is, like, I would text them and I would be like, okay, this is the plan. This is when this is when the target is that I'm getting on. I would get here probably like a half an hour prior to that, so that, or give yourself like 45 minutes to an hour, even an hour before. So if I tell you I'm going on at 5, be here at 4. You know what I mean? So that at least like you're there, but like at least they're not sitting there through like the entire. Because I feel bad at the end of the day that I'm like unless you're a fan, and I mean, and I'm in the sport and I love bodybuilding, but
even
honestly,
fans,
but
like
like I don't want to sit
even
there and
not to
watch
get
it.
you up, like even fans, like a lot of the fans are just fans for the women. Like there's fans for the men, of course. Like
Yeah,
the men have more fans than the women, but I think the women, it's more of a niche type of thing. Like there's fans, but not fans of the men like that.
right, exactly. I mean, so it's just I feel I always feel bad. You know what I mean? That it's like, and I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, like I said, I love the sport. I live it and breathe it and embrace it. But like,
yeah,
I don't want to watch it after. Like, as soon as I'm done, I am not sticking around. Like, I'm out of there.
yeah,
Like, I give everybody their hugs, and I'm like, we're done. Like, all of us, like all the women's bodybuilder and all the women's physique, we're not sticking around for the figure and the bikini. We're not. We're like, good luck to ya. We're
yeah. I
done.
see that. I've seen
Yeah.
it. I've seen it. Like I remember I went to New York Pro, and I seen a large amount of people just get up like after the men, did their thing. And
Yeah.
like when it was time for the bikini, a lot of people left. And I was like, wow.
I mean, I feel bad too, because I mean, if I knew people that were like competing in those divisions, I would
Yeah,
stay and support them. But I don't know people, and after doing a show, you're up so early and you're tired, and I don't want to be there.
yeah,
I'm tired.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I would go. As I've gone to shows and haven't competed in them, just to support people. But not to, not to do it on a. I just feel bad asking others, especially if they're not into the sport. You know what I mean?
right.
And they have to travel far to kind of get there, or like do whatever. It's a lot to kind of ask somebody to do
Yeah.
that. It's just
You,
so.
no, I was thinking like, earlier, I was thinking like, what if I was married? What if I married a female bodybuilder? Like, how would I adjust this? Like, because it's different, like with us, like I've always admired women with muscles, but like I had to ask myself, do you really like them? Like to a point where you want to deal with the stuff that they do, like the prep and just even like certain things come up, and
Yep.
I had to like really look at that because
Here's a
it's a
show for you.
handful.
Here's a good idea for you. You can do the husbands, that, like, how they have the housewives, of whatever. You
Yeah,
can have the husbands of bodybuilding. You can have them come on, because it would be hysterical. Because the crap that we go through and the crap that we put our significant others through is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like my husband is so like numb. I guess that I can use like I guess I use that word. He's just numb. He's like, all right, yeah. He's like, I know. Like I'll get up and I'm like, I'm going to the gym, and he's like, of course you are. You know what I mean? Or, you know, I overdid it the other day and he's like, I don't want to hear it. You know, you're done. Or he sits, I'll be getting my food or whatever ready or doing something. And he's like, all right, I'll come back. I mean, we've been doing it for so long. Like even my family tolerates it now, you know, where my mother, if I'm in prep, she'll be like, if we go out to dinner, like, where can you go and what can you have? And did you train today? Because we'll go afterwards. So it's like, but no, you have to like, you have to be okay with it, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, same thing that if I had, you know, if I had a significant other that was a competitor and I was the one that wasn't competing in it, and then you have those couples that compete together. I don't know how the hell they do that.
Yeah.
Thank God, like my husband isn't in the sport. I
Yeah.
would definitely.
George has competed. George has talked to couples that do
Yeah,
like not competition together, but they compete. You
yep.
know,
Yep.
they're both competitors and stuff. So
I totally couldn't do that. I totally couldn't be like a part of that whole thing, especially if
yeah,
one was in prep and one was in off season. So the other one
yeah,
is eating and the other one is not. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just, no, I mean, I think it's healthier. Like as long as your partner is supportive in what you're doing, like you have to have that support because relationships can end over this sport. I mean, I know people who have
yeah.
that their
I've heard.
relationships have, yeah, it really does because bodybuilding is an extremely, I know, honey, bodybuilding is an extremely selfish sport. Um, and you know, there's times where I'm just like, well, yeah, I want to do this, but I got to go train first, or I got to go do this and I got to train. So you have to have that person to be okay with it and be supportive, because otherwise, it really can take a toll on a marriage or a relationship, or you know, or whatever it is. So as long as you have that